Now, with the current White House, I have some connections. With the Joe Biden White House, I had none, but you did. You did. And so while you've been in Washington 30 years, Jake, you guys, you and CNN have White House connections, but there was no effort. None to get to the bottom of this. And now for you guys to write this book like there was a cover up, it's like there was a cover up and there was an attempted cover up. It could only ever work if you allowed it, if the press allowed it. Some of us tried not to, and some of us were complicit. Time and time again, when issues came up, you seemed to be running cover for the president. You didn't seem interested. Well, I mean, we'll start with the Laura Trump issue that you referred. Here it is.
I think what we see on stage with Joe Biden, Jake, is very clearly a cognitive decline.
Okay. I think you were mocking his stutter, and I think you have absolutely no standing to diagnose somebody's cognitive decline.
Do you want to apologize to Laura Trump now?
I've already apologized to her. I called her months ago.
I'm so uncomfortable right now. I have used poor judgment many times in my life, both professionally and personally, certainly with women in my younger years. I don't think I've ever done something as dumb as going on Megyn Kelly's show after I spent 4 years lying through my teeth. Joining me now, Megyn Kelly, host of the Megyn Kelly Show. Megyn, I'm not even an uncomfortable person, very comfortable. And watching that a second time, actually, that's like the 10th time I've watched that. I'm squirming in my chair over here. Why would they go on your show? I love your show, but I'd never go on it if I lied.
You know, it's not a good idea. I always laugh because not necessarily that interview, but some people will come on and try to spin me. And I always think to myself, a simple Google search would have served you really well before you agreed to do this. But okay. I mean, Tapper knew, to his credit, he knew I was going to give him a hard time because we're friendly. We've never hung out socially, but we've been in the same industry for a long, long time. And he knew very well that I was going to give him a hard time, and he wanted to stand for it, which he did. And that would be the end of the hard time that he would get on his media tour, because every other media personality, I think other than Stephen A. Smith, has completely gone along with the ruse that it was just unknowable, this mental decline, unless you had a more honest White House, and that this book blows the lid off of the scandal that they managed to keep under wraps somehow for 4 years.
Yeah, the gall on these people really is amazing, to write a book and act like you're breaking a story that anybody with an internet connection and an iPhone could have seen 4 years ago. Yes. It was obvious to everybody. So, Megyn, what, in your opinion, what is the game here? Everyone can see. Is it selling books? Is this rehabbing the Democrat Party? Is this going to be in some way a way to focus attacks on Trump? Well, now we need to know about Donald Trump's medical records. What is it? Because there's something at play that's not journalism. I know that.
Well, I mean, I think Alex Thompson came to it honestly because he tried to write this book solo of Axios. And he, by the way, he didn't do a great job covering the mental acuity, but he did do a great job when Kamala was the candidate of trying to hold her to account for her multiple flip-flops in 2019. Axios and Alex Thompson were like the one outlet other than in our world, in the digital lane, that was trying to get to that. So I give him more credibility. But he tried to write this book and they wouldn't publish it. They pulled his deal, saying like, no, there's no market for this. So then after Biden lost, he connected with Tapper, who was a bigger name and has an instant platform because he's on CNN. So this is how publishers look at it. And they say, oh, okay, you can sell that book because you've got now a name associated with it. And for Tapper, it was a chance to whitewash everything he had done and to pretend that he had been honest about this all along. And that like now he was going to cleanse the sin that he'd helped commit by doing some honest reporting on how bad it was. And that would not only absolve him as a reporter, but would serve as the vehicle for all the rest of the so-called mainstream press to launder their own complicity in the scandal by being shocked, absolutely shocked that there was gambling in this casino. I mean, just couldn't believe about this Biden mental decline. And the book is the perfect cover for this because it does have new details that even surprised me as somebody who did cover it. And I know you were all over it. But of course, there would be new details that we weren't able to access because we're not friends with Mike Donnellan or the people who are super tight with Joe Biden. You need Democrats to get you those stories. So that's why the book does have some purpose to it.
Megyn, I can't decide which part of this scandal is worse, the media cover-up or the actual actions that were taking place inside of the White House. The media should have exposed this before Joe Biden was even the Democrat nominee. They should have exposed it, should have stopped that. That's, frankly, in my opinion, that's the media's job. But that brings us to the Joe Biden White House. Who was signing executive orders? Who was signing pardons? Who was conducting foreign policy? Megyn, we just we just honored Memorial Day, where 13 people died at Abbey Gate because of decisions that came from the White House. Who made those decisions?
The book doesn't say anything about who specifically made those decisions, but it does give you the inner circle. It's like 4, maybe 5 people around Joe Biden and also Jill Biden's chief of staff, who were very involved in everything and ran the roost over there. That guy, Mike Donnellan, who I mentioned, chief among them, who'd been with Biden for 30 years, who to the end was saying he was totally competent. There was no scandal there. And yes, you're looking at her right now, Jill Biden and Hunter Biden, too, according to this book, very much involved in the cover up and decision making around the president, including around policy issues. And that's why we need a bipartisan, ideally, commission to actually look into the answers to that. But I don't care if it has to be one-sided partisan. We actually do need an entity with subpoena power that actually will act on the investigation, because one got started and then died, into who issued these pardons. Is Hunter Biden really pardoned if he pardoned himself? And some of these other rulings, like Trump's been saying, Biden was never this far left progressive that he, too, like many of us, had questions about. Why is he governing like AOC? It's not what he ran on. It's not what the people elected. But his chief of staff was pretty left. And there's a real question about whether, this guy, Ron Klain, and Jeff Zients, who came after him, were making these decisions. And if so, we're entitled to know. But wait, I want to say one other thing about the journalists and why they felt the need to do this. They're genuinely angry at Biden for losing. Like, now that the gamble of trying to lie to all of us that he was fine didn't pay off, they're pissed. And now they want to punish him because he didn't get that ball across the end zone into the end zone. And they're angry. So now they're happy to stab him in the back and say he's the source of all our problems, because they're very angry Trump won. And on that same front, now that Trump's president, they want to act like they deeply care about mental acuity. And they, of course, now we've learned from the sins of the Biden era. So it's very, very important to be very deep on a president's fitness for office. Coincidentally, that president now happens to be Donald Trump. And you're already seeing this pair switch the messaging on their media tour to Trump's even less transparent. He's even less transparent than Joe Biden. And their Democrat allies are out there on places like Fox. We saw this with Seth Moulton, who went on Martha McCallum's show, trying to run that same playbook. Like, Trump's the one who almost got 25th Amendmented after he didn't accept the election results in 2020. He's only one of these two men has had their cabinet talk about 25th Amendmenting them. And it was Trump. Nobody ever talked about that during Joe Biden, as though those two things are comparable at all. And now really Trump is the one with the mental acuity scandal that's being covered up.
Megyn, where does the Democrat Party go from here? And I say this as someone who's actually nervous about it. And I'm nervous because they seem so lost, so bottomed out right now. Trump's numbers are still good, very, very solid. Democrat numbers are in the tank. Jasmine Crockett and her type have become the face of the party. They seem lost and hopeless and like they'll never win another election. But you, of course, know, as I do, that's not how it works. Parties come back. They find a way. Where do they go? What is the way forward?
I mean, they need to make like a surgeon and complete a massive excision of the woke leftist piece of their party. Unfortunately for them, the woke leftist piece of their party has eaten the main bulk center of their party. To the point where none of us can really see what's left. There are like shards of glass that are the remaining centrists, but everything else is in just tatters over there. Like, who, like, name the person who could be the standard bearer, like Rahm Emanuel. They're surfacing him as somebody's raising his hand to like step in. And now he was more of a centrist guy. He was an Obama guy. He was a Clinton guy, but he's as like establishment as they come. These young progressive, like Bernie Democrats, the AOC Democrats, they don't want Rahm Emanuel. They're not going to vote for him. Right. So it's like there's a certain centrist Democrat who might go for him, but I just don't see them getting anywhere on the key issues that hurt them. They can't get out of their own way on the trans issue, which cost them the election. There was a massive survey by a Democratic survey group right after the election that showed the number one issue in those 7 swing states was boys and girls sports. And they still haven't reversed themselves on it, Jesse. Still, that one guy, Seth Moulton, who I just happened to mention, I have nothing against this guy in particular, but he tried to reverse himself. He's a Massachusetts rep. He tried to say, okay, now I don't want my girls to play against boys. He got browbeaten so badly, he immediately stood down on it. So it's like, they're not going to be able to do it. They need the surgeon, but it's unclear what can be excised because the cancer has metastasized to the entire party.
Oh, jeez, they're in trouble. Megyn, you were the best. As always, keep doing what you do. I appreciate you very much.
Love talking to you. See you soon.
I know you enjoyed that video because it was me. If you'd like to see more videos like that, just subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@JesseKellyDC. We'll keep giving it to you.